Lamar Jackson very well could have played his very last down in Baltimore in a Ravens jersey. This and so much more on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Welcome back to yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I'm your host, Sutton Duff, and you are watching the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Happy Wednesday. Oh, no, Tuesday it is. 2 days before Christmas. Christmas Eve is tomorrow, man. That is absolutely insane. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this Baltimore Ravens team and the fact that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, the relationship might very well be on the rocks, and they might be on the outs with each other. You could see Lamar Jackson potentially get traded somewhere else this offseason just based off of the way that this season has gone, the body language of the team, the body language of Lamar Jackson himself, kind of like the posturing of the coaching staff and not being willing to change things up. There's a list of factors that go into why Lamar might be done with the Ravens. What I want you to do now is I want you to comment down below in the comment section. Do you think that Lamar Jackson realistically could get traded this offseason? A lot of people around the league will look at me right now and be like, you're crazy. The Ravens would never, and I mean never, get rid of Lamar Jackson as long as, they're willing to pay up, right? But us Ravens fans who've been around for a long time, we've seen kind of the ups and downs, and they've been kind of some silent ups and downs between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. And that's what we're here to get into today, guys. Again, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to our channel here as well at PRP. We'd appreciate that. We are just over 5,000 subscribers now. We just reached 5,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for that milestone. It's absolutely major for Alex and myself. So let's go ahead and keep it up. Let's go into 2026 strong. How about that? Let's like the video. Let's subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate that. Heather's in the house in the live chat. What's going on, Heather? Appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. But let's start with this. Earlier today, I saw a video on Pro Football Talk, which is an NBC show with Mike Florio and the other guy. You guys know what I'm talking about. And normally when I watch that show and I listen to the takes of Mike Florio, especially when it pertains to his Ravens takes, I tend to roll my eyes a whole bunch at Mike Florio. A lot of his takes seem very clickbaity. A lot of his takes seem very, just trying to get a ruse, trying to get a rise out of a fan base, right? Because he knows what that can do. And maybe that's exactly what he did in this video here that I'm getting ready to show you guys. However, I think there's a lot of validity to the things that he's saying. And not only are we going to listen to what he has to say about that, we're going to look at a couple of more low-key kind of exhibits and little artifacts from the past that would lead you to believe that it is totally possible for this to be the ending of the relationship between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. As unfortunate as that would be, and I don't want that to happen, trust me, believe you me, I don't want that to happen. I'm just saying it's on the table. All right, so let's go ahead and take a listen to what Florio had to say.
Years now, there's just something off between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It predates his contract, and one of the problems is, and this was documented in the 61-page collusion grievance ruling that the league and the union hid for the players for months, which is still ridiculous. And there was a lawsuit filed late last week by Heather McPhee, longtime NFLPA not general counsel, but staff counsel, and that's part of what she's dredging up. Like, why did the union agree to keep this secret? It was a big deal. But once it came out and we saw some of the difficulties the Ravens encountered in trying to negotiate with Lamar Jackson, I don't think that made him very happy. And I think he wants another contract now, and he hasn't gotten it yet. There's just tension there, unresolved tension, and no easy way to resolve it because they don't communicate effectively. And it just makes me wonder how sustainable it is. Is it fair to wonder how sustainable the Lamar Jackson Baltimore Ravens relationship years now?
Okay. And let's get Florio sneezing off of the screen or whatever he's doing there. But you guys get the gist. Mike Florio basically saying in so many words there that it's on the table for Lamar Jackson to be disgruntled by some of the past actions of the Baltimore Ravens and honestly just the National Football League as a whole. If you guys remember, back when he negotiated his last contract, there was a back and forth between Lamar and the team. We'll get into a little bit more of that later on the show. But what we got out of that is that the NFL did actively collude against Lamar Jackson in those contract debates, right? There was like under the table handshake deals between teams and whatnot to not negotiate here or do this or do that. And that led to, something that's not allowed, that's not legally compliant in terms of the, under the NFL's rules. And this is something that is, the NFL is being investigated for and sued for by the NFL Players Association, and rightfully so. And guess who was the poster child for that? Lamar Jackson. Yes, he ended up getting his money. But I think that right there put a stain on the relationship between Lamar and this Ravens team. Now, when we talk about the fact that Lamar Jackson does not have an agent, I think that is another layer to kind of the difficulties in communication between Lamar and the Ravens brass, right? Um, if Lamar Jackson is calling up there, or they have a direct line to Lamar Jackson or Lamar Jackson's mother, I can see where communications could get kind of like mixed up and um, you know, I would assume that Lamar Jackson and his mother played very hardball. Like, hey, look, we want this, bottom line, point blank, period. We're not really willing to move off of this because of that. You better not tell me that you don't want to pay that much because of anything that I've done. Like, it gets a little bit more, again, it gets choppy when you don't have an agent, right? And I think Jason McCourty went on to say later on in that video that, you know, this is definitely a hard pill to swallow when you're negotiating your own contract, because they have to sit there and tell you all the reasons why they don't want to pay you as much as you want, as much as you're commanding. So this team who drafted you, right, and thought so highly of you to make you the starting quarterback after drafting you, even though a lot of the shortcomings of the team have come from their negligence in bolstering other areas and making sure that, the Ravens are good at offensive line or really talented at edge rusher, things like that. Even though they didn't do that, they can still point to in these contract negotiations, oh, well, you turned the football over a couple times in the playoffs, and that is going to weigh heavily in what we want to pay you moving forward. And you got to say that to Lamar Jackson's face or his mom's face. I could see how the communication wouldn't be very effective, as, opposed to if there was a middleman. That's what the agents are for, to kind of take the information from the team, relay it back to the player and say, hey, look, they're offering this. I think we can get a little bit higher than that. Let me keep working. All right, cool. You do you. I'm gonna stay over here. I'm gonna play. You negotiate my contract. That middleman, that like buffer in between, I think is important. But I am also on record saying that I am, proud of Lamar Jackson for taking this stance and wanting to do it his own way. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of agents can be predatory, and also you get to keep more of your money, right? When you don't have an agent, you don't have to sacrifice however whatever percentage of the salary that you end up making, right? So from all the like with all that being said, it makes sense what Mike Florio is saying and why Lamar Jackson might have it out for the team. Now, what I don't agree with is the injury thing. And this is where a lot of people have been kind of throwing me off. And I understand some of it was more reactionary, like right after the game. But some people haven't even walked back those takes yet of Lamar Jackson wasn't really that hurt and he could have gone out there and played. When we had literal news come out say that, he took a Toradol shot in his back and he couldn't throw the football. Right? I mean, we're talking about a guy who wants to live and die out there on the football field. That's who Lamar Jackson is. And again, I just think it's nasty. I think it's a very nasty narrative when people try to make it seem like he could have gone back in that game and he really just quit on the team. Because when have we ever seen that? I understand the hit to the back wasn't that hard, or they're talking about it's a rib or something like that. Like it looked like it was around like the liver area. I don't know if you guys have ever been hit or let alone kneed around that area. Or how about this? Better yet, go have that happen to you, then report back to me. Go do that. So, I just don't like that narrative. But the other things that he was saying are relatively true in my mind. By LJ, yeah, it's I don't think it's looking good because they're gonna have to get ready to negotiate. Again, this is another one of Florio's talking points here. There's another negotiation coming up. You can't go into next year with a $75 million cap hit on your quarterback. You got to negotiate. You got to extend him now. And the way that this season went, guess who holds all the cards at the table? The guy who I just told you, who him and his mom probably aren't budging up off of what they want. He holds all the cards, and he knows that. So I could envision a world, and real quick sidebar, for an organization, this Ravens organization, who prides themselves on the level of continuity in their franchise. Head coach has been around for 18 plus years. We don't really switch up GMs all that often. We like to keep the ship steady, right? We like our guys. W log. We like our guys. I might have start saying that. W log. We'll put that in the chat. W log. We like our guys. We're very complacent, right? For a team that values continuity so much, it still makes me scratch my head to this day why they went and acquired Cooper Rush in the offseason. A quarterback who has none of the skills that your offense has been designed around for the last 8 years, better part of a decade. I think that I don't want to say it was writing on the wall at all, because obviously Cooper Rush is a backup quarterback. But that was an intentional move, right? You claim continuity is the best thing. So instead of going out and acquiring a quarterback who can back up Lamar Jackson and run the same style of offense, you go and get Cooper Rush, who can do nothing of the sorts that Lamar Jackson can do. And we had to find that out the hard way. I think that these little moves here and there kind of tell you, like, hey, man, I mean, we think we want to go back to having a traditional quarterback. All this running quarterback stuff, it complicates everything. You can't really run a traditional offense, and you can tell in the play calling, they don't know what to run in multiple different situations. I think that John Harbaugh, and this is me speculating here, pure speculation, but I think John Harbaugh is of the train of thought right now that like he kind of wants that old thing back. Could be just me, but it's something. Again, more stuff that kind of contributes to this narrative of Lamar Jackson might be done with the Ravens. And I wouldn't blame him, to be honest with you. But let's look at some more evidence here. If you don't believe me yet, let's look at some more evidence. Stay locked into this episode of the show because it's gonna get juicy. We got some more evidence to look at, right? Okay. Exhibit A. As you guys know, the reason why the Ravens lost against the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football is because they failed to run the football with their best offensive player at the time late down the stretch of the game. And if you guys remember, this same thing has happened multiple times this season. And this doesn't necessarily have to do specifically with Lamar Jackson, because the video I'm about to show you is not Lamar Jackson speaking. It's actually his left tackle. And his left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, is telling us here what he believes, and this was weeks ago after the Bengals game on Thanksgiving Day. after the Bengals lost on Thanksgiving Day. This is what Ronnie had to say after the game.
I thought the run game, especially early on, we got going, got Derek going, rushed for a touchdown early on. I think we just got to keep it going and keep the momentum going, and we make sure that's our identity, and we have to make it work.
I guess, Ronnie, when you say make sure, is there like a conversation on the sideline? Like, 'cause, for example, after Derek's touchdown run, I think with 6.5 minutes left in the first quarter, he had 2 touches in the rest of the half. Like, do you guys want to? Are there instances where you guys can like encourage coaches, like, hey, can we go back to this? Or
Yeah, I mean that's definitely part of it is the collaboration part and wanting to get back to the run, and that's something that we encourage the coaches to do when we come back to the sideline, and but we're still gonna go out there and run whatever play is called. Yeah, no, it's very frustrating, especially been around football for a little bit, played for a while, and just understanding the type of personnel we have, the type of people we have, and that's just not our standard, especially speaking for the offense. Thought the defense did a great job, but offensively, that's not our standard. Thought the run.
Interesting stuff there by Ronnie Stanley. By the way, over 60 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. Thank y'all so much for coming through to this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Is Lamar Jackson done with the Ravens? Is the topic today. But you hear what Ronnie Stanley said there. And JD says it in the chat here. Lamar would agree with this. I think everybody would agree with this. Maybe if you're not, not if you're Zay Flowers or, D-Hop, somebody who wants the ball, whatever. Not saying those guys are divas, but you guys get it. They're pass catchers. But everybody knows that this Ravens team is a run-first team. And this was weeks ago. Ronnie Stanley was saying this. Hey, why are we not running the ball with Derrick Henry? Like, it's working. It's quite literally working. Defenses are begging not to see him on the field. And we are fulfilling that request. Nobody wants to see Derrick Henry on the field, especially down the stretch of a game in the second half. Patriots didn't want to see it. Bengals didn't want to see it. Steelers, nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to see that. So the fact that again, what we see here from Ronnie Stanley is kind of indicative of the kind of how do you say, the thought process and the mindset of the team right now. I think that they're looking at the coaches and saying, because you heard Ronnie say right there, yeah, we're going to go on the field and execute whatever plays, but on the sideline, yeah, we are talking to the coaches and saying, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And the coaches are like, yeah, just get back out there. 5-yard out route, up 3 with 6 minutes to go, with Tyler Huntley in the game. Tell me how that makes sense. And the players they're having to run these play calls, and they get killed. They get criticized after the game. Because you have the critics and the national media pundits who all want to say, players got to play. Right, but if the coach does not put the players in the right position, then what do you want them to do? Football's a game of chess. It's a lot. It's a lot. But that is Exhibit A. Guys, Ronnie Stanley kind of echoing the sentiment of the team, of the offense specifically. That's how they feel. So why do you think you got Zay Flowers smiling after the game? It's like, we're a joke. We know this. They feel some type of way about this coaching staff. And if you don't believe me, that's okay. So let's go ahead to Exhibit B here. Exhibit B, and you can question the validity of this as well. I understand that. But every week, it gets more and more relevant to me. You guys remember this? You guys remember this Reddit post here? By some woman who apparently was cheated on by her Ravens boyfriend and spilled the tea. Now, if you look at, most of it is not really damning information, not bombshell information. But number one, Lamar and most others have wanted John Harbaugh fired for years, have overheard many calls about this. You could just stop right there. Because, again, look at what we're seeing. Take what Ronnie Stanley just said. Yeah, it's super frustrating when, we're trying to collaborate with the coaches on the sideline, and then when we get out on the field and we're running some bullshit we don't agree with, you can just see the body language overall of the team is just slouched right now. It's not good. That's a reflection on what? Leadership, which leads me to believe what we see here. Lamar and most others have wanted Harbaugh gone for reasons like this, decision making like this, that makes them look like clowns on national television. Because we don't know what plays to call. Situationally, we don't have it. We're not of championship elk when it comes to situational football. Winning close games, not for us. So again, this stuff starts to make more sense, more and more sense as we go along here, guys. And I haven't even gotten to the most damning piece of evidence yet. It's actually next. I haven't even got to the most damning piece of evidence. Also in this Reddit post, we talked about how Nnamdi Madubuike, he's retired and he moved to Texas already. Also talks about how lots of players get surgery in secret in the offseason, so it never gets reported to the press. And then also they have security guarding their hotel floor at away games because they had issues with people sneaking out. So, kind of like some tabloid stuff there. The biggest bombshell, though, again, Lamar and most other players have wanted Harbaugh fired for years and have overheard many calls about this. For those of you guys who want to call cap on this, that's fine. But you can't say that things that we haven't, things that we've seen in the media, in interviews, like I just showed you with Ronnie Stanley and others too. And by the way, that wasn't the first time Ronnie Stanley spoke up about something like that. You can't tell me that none of these signs point toward this Reddit post being true. Kind of backs up these claims. And I get it. I'm a Ravens fan with confirmation bias. Do I want this to be right? Do I want this to be correct? It's like yes and no. I want Lamar and the head coach to have a good relationship. But at the same time, I understand that relationship has run its course between Lamar and John Harbaugh, or this team and John Harbaugh. Again, more reasons why I think that it could be very well on the table that Lamar Jackson says this offseason, hey, get me to Miami. Trade me. And again, you guys you might be thinking, no, Sutton, why would Lamar Jackson want to get traded from the Baltimore Ravens? He was drafted here, right? We believed in him. Well, no, we drafted Hayden Hurst before Lamar, but we believed in him. Traded back into the first round to get him. He said he was going to bring us a Super Bowl. Hasn't fulfilled on that promise yet. He can't leave. He doesn't want to leave yet. Well, let's get to Exhibit C, shall we? Exhibit C. Lamar Jackson has requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens before. This is a moment in time that people tend to forget so easily. And because Lamar Jackson is not this super rah-rah guy on the normal, and there's been a lot of good times between these tweets here and today. There's been some very high Lamar Jackson moments. Trust me. I was there. But we can't act like Lamar Jackson has never made an adversarial stance against the Baltimore Ravens before, because he has. So let's just read these. Let's read this really quick. I know it's old news, right? We've seen this before. But Lamar Jackson said, "A letter to my fans." And this was about 2 years ago before he got his contract. "I want to first thank you all for all of the love and support you consistently showed towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate y'all so much. I want y'all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions. In regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization, for which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me knows I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I will continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again. So again, this is proof that Lamar Jackson is willing to make a move. He's not scared to tell the world publicly, hey, I want out from the Baltimore Ravens. You can throw all the they're gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. You can throw all of that out of the window right now. You can throw it out of the window. It's a contract negotiation. Sure, I see somebody in the chat saying like you can't really got to take this with a grain of salt, Sutton. It's a contract negotiation. Well, that's where they're at now. That's where they're at now, and the Ravens are in a much worse spot. They're in a much worse spot than where they were before. You go from being a game away from the Super Bowl, only giving up 17 points to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and coming up short in that one, to then after that, taking a step back and losing in the divisional round, to after that, completely falling off the face of the earth, completely derailing, this team's Super Bowl chances, this team's Super Bowl window, because you're going to miss the playoffs this year. So, this is multiple years of back-to-back regression, not to mention multiple years of negligent moves or the lack thereof. Media is barely even siding with, not media, but the Ravens PR. They don't really protect Lamar like they used to. I don't know if you guys have noticed. They don't protect Lamar like they used to. They said that he had a back bruise. They said that he had a back bruise in the game the other day. And everybody went ballistic. Do you think that was just by coincidence? Because I don't. I won't go so far as to say there's conspiracy theories, how they refuse to really fix up the offensive line because, this, that, or the third reasons. And they just don't want Lamar Jackson to look too good, so they have to pay a whole bunch of money. I don't know if I'll take it that far. But what I do know is that this team, Eric DeCosta and company, are gearing up for some vicious contract talks with Lamar Jackson this offseason. It won't be easy. It's not going to be pretty. And unfortunately, Miami needs a quarterback. And unfortunately, that's where Lamar Jackson is from. So, do I think that Lamar would have some interest in, again, leaving the cold, hard winters of Baltimore, going home to Miami, Florida, where he gets to be around all of his family and friends, and then also, by the way, compete in an AFC East with Josh Allen and Drake May? Sounds like a good time. You get some good competition. You get good weather. You're at home. You're still going to get paid. If Mike McDaniel stays, you're going to get an offensive-minded head coach. I'm just saying, man. It'd be a wonderful destination for Lamar. It'd be a wonderful destination for him. But again, guys, this is why I think that it's totally on the table. Lamar Jackson could not be a Raven going into next season. Let's read through some of the comments here. Network Cover Band says, Sutton, I think you're trying to stir up crap. No, I'm just telling you what I feel, man. I'm just telling you what, from everything that I've seen. And I'm somebody who obviously covers this team every day, 365 days a year. I know when things smell fishy, just like I know when the Ravens are getting ready to lose a game, to lose a lead, right? I've seen it happen too many times. Just know how this organization works. Eventually, they're not going to allow this to slide. And what's on the screen, Lamar Jackson, if he tries to pull this again, which I could very well see him doing, because I very well also could see the Ravens not wanting to meet his value, like he was concerned about here in this tweet. He could tweet this again, and the Ravens could take an even harder stance and say, okay, we're going to offload you, ship you off to wherever, you know? And then that's that. Then we rebuild. World Class says rebuild coming soon. It's possible. It's possible. Rome Raven says those are old posts. So, guys, again, and JD says he thinks I'm in too deep. That's fine. And these are old posts. I understand that. I do. But my point was, this is not the first time. It would not be the first time that Lamar Jackson took an adversarial stance against the Baltimore Ravens organization. That's important. Stuff like this is important, especially considering where the Ravens stand right now. You know, just like when Lamar Jackson comes to the negotiation table and the Ravens will have their grievances with Lamar, like, oh, well, the turnovers and, you know, the availability, the this and that. Lamar Jackson's going to have his grievances right here. Hey, you didn't get me starting caliber guards. I haven't been able to step up into a clean pocket like Drake May was able to do for most of the night and really carve teams up. You've seen what I do with competent O-line, a consistent O-line play. They're both going to have their grievances. I just think that this time around, you know, I think the Ravens really owed Lamar a first contract, like a big contract. But after this, again, they've kind of shown us where their loyalty lies. They've shown us where their loyalty lies. Somebody said in the chat earlier that they think that Steve Bisciotti lit a fire under John Harbaugh. You know, and I actually think the opposite. I think it's more so, it's more of a, hey, John, I would imagine the conversation was like, hey, John, you know, out of respect for you as a friend, I want you to finish out this contract extension that we just inked into paper earlier last year or this year, you know, so 2 more seasons. And then after that, we can just probably, if we don't win another Super Bowl, we can just part ways, you know. I think that that's a lot more realistic than Steve Bisciotti getting out his guy of 18 years. I think he's going to let him get to 20. And then if you don't see anything by that 20, which will be the end of his contract, I think then they just amicably part ways. But as long as the Ravens are in the black, in the green, profiting, Steve Bisciotti, I think, is cool. Super Bowls are elective. I know he says he wants to win now. I think Steve Bisciotti wants to win a Super Bowl right now about as much as an 11-year-old super sports fan wants their team to win a championship. You know what I mean? It's like the same level of interest, like same level of vested interest to me. And I get it. He's a $1 billion owner. That could be baloney. Maybe he actually loves football, but I can't really tell. Because some of the things that we see are just like inexplainable. And if we're all end of the bar guys because we don't know football, what is Steve Bisciotti? And tell me what position he played. So I don't know. Maybe I am in too deep though. But that's why I'm here though. That's why I'm here. More comments here from you guys. Spiritual War says John just said on national TV that the backup quarterback can do everything Lamar can, and fans still think Harbaugh is close with Lamar. Did he say that? I didn't see that. Maybe it happened while I was live just now. But wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me at all. But I mean, yeah, he knows good and damn well Tyler Huntley cannot do the same things that Lamar Jackson can do. No way. No way. Let me see. Tanja Bowman says this is a negative reach. We haven't even got to the offseason yet. Let's just get our 18th pick. Yeah, and we'll see what we do with that 18th pick. That 18th pick, I wouldn't really imagine is going to be a needle mover in the way that the Ravens need right now. Because I don't think that they go and because I think that they would probably think that they're reaching for a lineman at 18. They'll probably go with best player available. They might get another linebacker. They might get a defensive tackle, which I wouldn't mind that. I think that they should go O-line. You're not going to get a star-studded edge at 18, unless you really just hit big and get lucky. So I don't really have a lot of faith in the draft. I mean, we got 11 picks in this year's draft. Probably only going to roster a cool 4 or 5 of them. 5 of them maybe. And by the time the season's out, we'll probably only be actively utilizing maybe 2 to 3. So I'm not really looking towards the draft as the savior, so to say. Draft O-line, pay for edge. I can get behind that. I think you have to buy an edge. You got to go get a proven guy who's shown he can do it at the highest level. Got to get that. Said Tyler Huntley can do everything that Lamar Jackson can do. That is insane. Lil said it says you be serious too much. That's why you got to come through the Sutton reactions in the morning. I'm not serious at all on there. These Ravens be having me, heated. I be hot. Got so much invested into this team, man. Be More Lock says if they trade Lamar, this franchise will lose a significant chunk of its fan base, as well as instantly become an afterthought when it comes to primetime games and so on. Huge problem for Bisciotti. That's another really good point. From a business perspective, you know how many 8 jerseys have been purchased in the last 8 years? If you, Steve Bisciotti, you basically have to have a conversation with Eric DeCosta and say, hey, look, we by no means can get rid of Lamar Jackson. But again, I don't know how Steve Bisciotti feels personally about Lamar. All I know is that Steve Bisciotti has said things in the past as early as, or as late as this past offseason, saying that when it comes to the Ravens winning a Super Bowl, Lamar Jackson is not even high on his list for guys who he wants to win a Super Bowl for. He wants guys like Stanley and Humphrey and all these guys in the front office and coaches to win it before Lamar. So I don't really know how he feels about Lamar Jackson, but if he feels like he wants to keep making money off of this asset that is the Baltimore Ravens, yeah, he better make sure that Eric DeCosta gets a deal done. You got to make sure that you keep Lamar Jackson in town. Because, again, if you move away from him, if you move off of him, the city will move off of you. And that's going to hit you in the pockets hard. I mean, Lamar Jackson is the city. Period. So I like that point. Be More Lock. Love that. Love that. Oh, John said that coming back from the half on Sunday. Okay. JD13 says doing Sutton Reacts tomorrow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come through. Coach in the building. What's going on, Coach? We got Ravens Roundup here in about 45 minutes, 46 minutes. I'll be over there hanging out with the guys, Coach, Carrie, Chris, and Jose. We have a good time over there. Today. Okay. Mad Facts, Bitter Truth says, I ain't spending a dime on nothing Ravens until they get it right. I agree. But yeah, guys, that's what I came here to talk about with you guys today, man. I don't want to seem like I'm overreacting to this recent news. Of course, it's the loss that's really got us feeling this way, but it's more than just the loss to the Patriots, man. It's just like a culmination of a bunch of different seasons that have all kind of ended the same way, and how that looks for how we're managing Lamar Jackson's career. Because at this point, we're just watching these years just pass us right by. Here goes another one that just passed us by. Because I don't see the Ravens making the playoffs, because I don't think that the Ravens can beat the Packers, and I don't think that the Browns can beat the Steelers. So I think that it is over. Then we have like a 7% chance, but I think that it is over for this season, which will be, again, yet another season that passed us by. It feels like these seasons are kind of blurring together because of just how they're ending. This whole season, my guy Bradley from Charm City Sideline said this the other day. It's like the whole season feels like one big playoff loss, right? Like all the issues that the Ravens have been struggling with in the playoffs specifically in past years, all those issues were coming up every single week in the regular season, and everything just kind of fell apart. I mean, look at the Chiefs, man. These are the things that happens when you have deflating ends to seasons. Sometimes you have hangover seasons, and I think that that's what this is today or this year. Mad Facts, Bitter Truth, appreciate the sub. Again, thank you guys for over 5,000 subscribers. We appreciate that here at PRP. Let me see. Spiritual War says Shador and Dion basically told Steve, "You're not about to use Shador to pin against Lamar." John was planning on replacing Lamar with Shador, and Shador ain't want any of that. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. Is the relationship between Lamar and John really that bad? I mean, you don't see them on the sidelines, like, chopping it up, consulting each other really anymore. You used to see that a lot. But now I feel like Lamar goes to the sideline, is right there right to the bench, right to the tablet. Somebody may come over, chop it up with him, but I just don't really, at least on the broadcast view. They used to show Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh hanging out on the sidelines all the time. It's just no more. Doesn't happen anymore. Just doesn't happen. Let me see. GBs says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the different results. We can't keep running Lamar and John. One has to go, and it has to be John. Of course, I do agree with that, GBs. However, again, it really just comes down to a Steve Bisciotti thing in how much he values his friendship with John Harbaugh. And I know that Steve Bisciotti is a businessman first, but again, I just don't see a world where they choose to move off of John Harbaugh in favor of continuing the Lamar Jackson era. It's sad to say, and it might be crazy to say, but like even all the things I just talked about, I just don't see it happening, man. Super chat donation coming from Chique in the house. What's going on, Chique? Appreciate you coming through, making it rain here on Quiet Storm Sports. Chique says it's either new head coach or new quarterback next year, bro. Yeah, I mean, it's either one or the other. It's one or the other. Man, I just, we talked about it yesterday on PRP. Was that yesterday? Yeah, today's Tuesday. The decisions that were made down the stretch of that game, it was almost like, with the amount of they were having Huntley throw at the end of the game, it was almost as if they wanted to prove that Huntley can do the exact same things as Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? Because there is no justification. There is no reason to, in your right mind, be up 3 points at home or up 10 points at home, and you have you have Tyler Huntley in the game, your backup quarterback, and you're throwing the football all over the field. And dangerous throws too. Instead of utilizing your star running back, who they've proven not to be able to stop. There's just too many variables in this situation to not look at it like just pure coaching malpractice. Which again leads me to believe there's something deeper that we don't know about as fans. There's something deeper here going on that we do not know about as fans. In fact, we have no clue. Whether, I mean, they hid the collusion thing from us until it came to light. But there's got to be something going on. Because there's no way that you don't make that decision in that time. Bro, stop acting like Huntley ain't play ball. I never said he didn't play ball, Kwame. In fact, I said on the pod yesterday, I don't know if you were in here, but I said on the pod yesterday that I thought that Huntley did enough to win the game, which I thought he did. Coaching should not have put the game in his hands, though. And that's the problem with John Harbaugh, that I don't understand how Steve Bisciotti doesn't see this. John Harbaugh literally is just a middleman on the sideline. He doesn't make the decisions. He doesn't greenlight the decisions. He doesn't choose when the best players are on the field or not. Again, he's closer to you and me out there than anything. Just standing out there with a headset. And like I said yesterday on the show, this is a coach who's 18 years in, 8 years in with Lamar alone. And still, the bullets are flying too fast for him in game. And that's why he can't make in-game adjustments, because things are happening in real time. It's just too fast for him. It's too quick. And that's the guy that you want leading one of the best quarterbacks of all time, who has the ability to orchestrate one of the most dangerous offenses that we've seen before on multiple occasions. That's the guy you want leading them? I think I think Lamar is just fed up with it at this point. And that's the biggest reason why I think he's done. You know, he's not going to make it easy on the Ravens when it comes to contract negotiations. And I don't think that the Ravens are going to be willing to budge nearly as much as they did last time. And we saw how that almost ended. So, just some thoughts, guys. Just some thoughts. D-Hop probably wants Matt Stafford. Wouldn't be surprised. That'd be probably like, that'd be his best. When has Snoop played an effective 2-minute offense? He has before. Again, guys, Snoop isn't bad. He's just not the guy who should be closing the game. Like, there's no reason why. There's literally zero reason why you should be having Snoop Huntley, your backup quarterback, be throwing to your third string running back behind the line of scrimmage with the game on the line. That just should never happen. It should never happen. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, guys. I appreciate all of you guys for coming through. If you're not subscribed yet, please leave a sub. Leave a sub and leave a like before we get out of here. We'd appreciate that here at PRP. Thank you for helping us reach 5,000 subscribers. We are truly appreciative of that. We will be back, of course, on Friday with our preview episodes. So we're going to miss some of the Christmas games, but of course, we're not going to go live on Christmas unless the Ravens are playing. Then we'd go live. But that was last year. And this year we do not play on Christmas. A lot of toilet bowl games on Christmas this year, by the way, guys. I think it's like Chiefs, Lions. Like, nobody wants to watch the Chiefs right now. The Lions are cool, I guess, but I think that the Vikings are playing as well, and they're not going to have JJ McCarthy. So I don't know. I'm probably still going to watch. I might prefer to watch basketball on that day, though. Haven't decided yet, but we'll see. But okay. Again, love you guys. As always, please stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. Make sure you join us. Over on the Ravens Roundup, Sip to Tally Films, Coach's channel. We will be live there in about half an hour. So if you want to come through, kick it with us, and talk some more Ravens football, come do it. But again, stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. I'll catch you guys in the next episode of the show. Peace.